I grew up in Farmersburg, which is just along Highway 13 a little bit, town of 300 people. Went to MFL Marmac to school, did all start to finish there. And then I didn't really know what I wanted to do 100% after high school. I thought education. I started out at Kirkwood, and then I went to UNI, studied education, early elementary, and then eventually got into history education. And then kind of a few years before school would have been done and had a degree, just kind of, I call it my midlife crisis at 20, changed everything just wasn't happy. And I knew if I wasn't enjoying it now, I wasn't going to enjoy it in 20, 30 years down the road, so probably should change it now. And I always loved cooking. I always would tinker around in the kitchen. My whole family, my siblings and I still will compare recipes. So I just always loved tinkering in the kitchen. So I thought, well, what about food and degree? And so I thought about going to culinary, and I kind of looked at a culinary school in Chicago. But then my dad found a program at Iowa State called food science. And so after I looked at that program, they were opening a new program called culinary science, brand new. So I was part of the first group to study that. And it was a bridge between culinary science, food science, and dietetics. Kind of be that person who knows a little bit about everything. As one of the classes, for some reason, was required to take an entrepreneurial class. So a majority of the class was teaching how to write a business plan, and then we had to create our own for the class as well. I just remember the whole time taking the class, going to my advisor and be like, I'm never going to own a business. Why is this class required? And no, it's required, and it was really only required for that 1 year that I had to take it. And yeah, so it worked out really handy when I decided to open my own business like 4 years after that class. What brought me back here was more of a fun conversation than one day I had with my parents about maybe someday I'd move back to the area, but maybe when I was 40, open up a cooking school, work with a local food store that was in McGregor, just kind of like, pipeline dreams, just wishful thinking kind of thing. Because I found out I really love teaching cooking classes, and maybe that's something I would want to explore and do more of. And a few weeks after that conversation, my parents were like, oh, sad news, for your dream, this little food store, it closed. So yeah, the previous owners wanted a little bit more freedom, and so that was why they had decided to close the store. So I thought, well, what if I reopened? And I bet within a few months, if I got back open before summer, the summer traffic wouldn't know any difference, and it would only have been 6 months from closing time for the locals, and hopefully they would pick back up and support like they did the previous. And so that's kind of how the ball got rolling. And I had that idea right after New Year's. It was January of 2013, and by Memorial Day weekend I was open. It sounds really short when you talk about it now, but at the time it felt like it took forever. So that's how I got here. One of the unique things I found about moving back to the area has been how you can grow more as a person here. My family always jokes that when I moved away, I always told them I would never come back, there would be no career opportunities for me, so I like the idea of staying in the city. And funny how that completely changed. I've been really able to grow, not only professionally, but personally here as a person here, just because of easy access to, outdoor activities, or how I can make a difference in the community, of just my small wanting to join certain community groups that it seems so small, but your small ideas, maybe they'll actually listen to them because you're not being drowned out by several other small ideas like you would maybe in a bigger community. Well, growing professionally back here is more of getting involved, and so I'm involved in my local Chamber of Commerce. And I started off just as a chamber board member, just bringing some of my ideas, helping the chamber come up with things for our community. But then slowly I was asked, well, would you think about being the vice president and then the president? And those are things I probably would never have tackled anywhere else. But here, I was like, after a few years, I'm like, oh, I can make a difference. Or maybe, I wouldn't mind taking on that more responsibility. And then from that, it was brought to my attention to possibly run for, it's an elected office for being part of the Extension Council of our county. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm already on another committee and I would like to get involved more county-wide, not just small community-wide, and get to know more people throughout the county. So that was like, oh yeah, an easy transition. And I sometimes don't feel like I'm really making a difference. I do them, I joke, for selfish reasons, because if the community succeeds, if our county succeeds, I'm gonna succeed as a business, because that means more people will be coming to my business if the town succeeds. So I love seeing when new businesses open up or other opportunities happen, even if they're not happening to me, because if the business across the street or even in another town, a few minutes away, grows in popularity, people are going to flock here and they're going to look for more things to do. So eventually it will trickle down into, maybe they'll stop in for a cup of coffee here or a sandwich or something will bring them in. And I see that all the time of people who, when they come in, I always ask my customers, what brought you to the area? So I have an idea of how to market. But it's fascinating. Just the other day, some bikers came in, like motorcyclists, and they've been coming to McGregor for years, never knew. Want to know if I was brand new, and I'm like, nope, I've been here for 9 years. And they just had never traveled this far up away from the river. They've always just stayed their one same spot of a restaurant, and that restaurant happened to be changing over in ownership right now, and so it's not open. So they just like, oh, let's see what else is in town, and now they were just like blown away of what else is here. So that's how eventually they will find you in a small community, and so that's why I like to see other people succeed. So yes, I've grown professionally here, but also I say personally, because I do feel like I'm a different person in terms of being so close to the great outdoors. I'm going out hiking more often because it's only a mile from my back door to the backside of Pikes Peak, or I'm only a few miles from Effigy Mounds or a few-minute drive from Yellow River Forest. And so now I've hiked more in those areas than I ever have in other places I've lived, because it wasn't so convenient. And I think when you spend a lot of time in nature, it does change who you are. It's fun to see the animals and the tree, and I don't know, I kind of got more spiritual in who I am as a person. And so then I became more active in wanting to see those kinds of places succeed in terms of more people coming to them and realizing what beauty we have in our backyard. I grew up, my dad loved to fish all the time, and I would go with him, but I would be one that's like listen to music while I'm fishing kind of thing, or talk too much. And now when my dad's like, hey, want to go fishing? We went ice fishing this last winter. It's just nice just to sit there and quiet, listen to nature. Like, I just embraced it a little bit more than I had before. And I think it's just because here you have to go at a slower pace, and that's not a bad thing. It makes you can reset your mind a little bit. And that's where I feel like I've grown personally, as I've just calmed myself and realized enjoy life. And there's easy access here. Just the other night, a friend of mine's like, hey, do you want to go kayaking? And I don't have a kayak, but she has a couple extra kayaks. And literally in an hour time from her idea, I was out in the Mississippi backwaters kayaking. And I've never kayaked the backwaters of Mississippi. I've done the Turkey River and Elkader, but never here in my own backyard. McGregor's on the main channel, so it's a little bit scarier to be here, but some of the backwaters are really nice. So now I'm like, wow, I think this will be a new activity that I want to dive into more. And again, I probably wouldn't have had that opportunity, somewhere else, unless you planned, get a call to rent kayaks. But having a friend who's like, hey, I got some extra kayaks, let's just go. I just love that you can just, on a whim, do that. I definitely find Northeast Iowa to be affordable to live. I don't think I would be able to have bought a business and run it anywhere else. What I bought for a whole very nice new building here in McGregor would have been probably twice or three times as much somewhere else. And I don't know if I could have gotten approved for a business loan or a building loan in those communities as I was here. I definitely feel this is where I'm going to be long term. I mean, I don't think about it a whole lot. I've never really thought about what's my 5-year plan, 10-year plan. I see that my business is succeeding. It's thriving here, and so I want to keep it that way. What I do see changing in the next 5 to 10 years is our area is just be growing more with people, and I see my business just thriving even more. I just think, where am I now and how can I keep growing as a person? And no matter how I grow, I do still see myself here. If anything changes, it's going to be our communities here changing, of more people coming here as visitors, but also maybe even moving here to a smaller town, because they can make a difference, or it's not as fast-paced lifestyle, and that will make my business grow and succeed even more. So maybe I won't change, but my business will change because of more growth that way.